and gentlemen, it gives me really huge pleasure this evening to welcome you to the 6th Malcolm Arnold Festival. And it's a very special one this year because 90 years ago to this very day, Sir Malcolm Arnold was born, 21st of October 1921. And here we are, all together again to celebrate his 90 years with a wonderful festival. The heart and soul of this festival is really the heart and soul of Malcolm's music. That is to say, the great 9 symphonies, a towering symphonic cycle. It's never been done before, may be done again, but this is certainly the first time that all 9 symphonies have been played under one roof in one weekend. But more of that later. It gives me enormous pleasure to have by my side one of the most recognisable faces in the world of the theatre, in the world of cinema, the television, of acting, the great Robert Hardy, who had quite an interesting connection with Malcolm some years ago. He may talk about that, but I have great pleasure in introducing Robert to launch this year's 6th Malcolm Arnold Festival.
Thank you. My lords, for aught I know, ladies and gentlemen, as I concede, it is a great pleasure to be here and an honour because some years ago, I forget exactly how many, I was asked by Paul to come here because of a slight connection that I had with Malcolm Arnold. And I'm not going to take your time up much, but I will tell you in a moment what that connection was. And I suppose you probably all know more about Malcolm Arnold and his life and his compositions, his creations, than I do. But I did jot down one or two things in case somebody had slipped in thinking they were going to the Two Gentlemen of Verona across the way. He was born indeed on Trafalgar Day in 1921, so he was born 4 years before me. And by any proper count, he should still be alive, but he did rough it a bit. He did put extraordinary strains on his physical and mental capacities. As a boy, you know, he played the violin and the trumpet. He won a scholarship to the Royal College of Music, and later on, he played the trumpet in the London Philharmonic Orchestra. And there is a tiny connection which I only discovered this morning when thinking about dates. I was at school in 1940 and had been for a bit. And I heard that the London Philharmonic Orchestra was playing at Leicester. And I obtained permission to get on a train and travel alone, aged 15, rising 15 anyway, and go to the concert. And I was simply thrilled with it. I mean, it was a wonderful, wonderful concert. They appealed after the concert for money. And I went back to my house at school and raised, I think it was 50 quid, and sent it off. Notes in an envelope, and they were so pleased, they said, "We are coming to play at your school within 2 or 3 months' time. Would you please choose the concert? Will you choose the items in the concert?" Which I did. And you know, of course, that he then, the very first thing that he composed, which really hit the ping, was Becker's The Dandyprat, which I'm very fond of. Horn concertos, clarinet concertos followed. He won the Mendelssohn Scholarship in 1946, which gave him a year in Italy, not a bad place to go for music. 1950, the first of his 9 symphonies. And a word off the top of my pretty empty head about his music. He is not Elgar, he is not Vaughan Williams, he is not Benjamin Britten either. He is his own inimitable voice, and it is a voice which comes straight from the breadth and depth of England. town and country. It really is so strong an English voice that I hear Cornwall or London or Northampton in every note that he writes. Now I'm going to let you off in a moment, but just one thing which you might not know, that in his mother's family tree, you know what a tremendous new game it is to trace your ancestors, was the composer and other things. William Hawes was born in 1785, lasted until 1846, master of the choristers at St. Paul's and the Chapel Royal, music publisher, director of opera, Lyceum Theatre, and he promoted, and maybe he conducted too, I think he did, the very first performance in this country of Weber's Der Freischütz, and so forth. Well, I could go on like this for absolutely ages, but you've been very patient, and I won't get in the way of your enjoyment of music. The other connection which I did say I would mention was that in 1953, I think, I was at the Old Vic, and Robert Helpman did a production of Shakespeare's Tempest, in which I played Ariel. And all the music and all the songs, which of course Ariel has to sing, and I'm no singer really, was provided by Malcolm Arnold, so I met him then, and he was very forgiving of my sketchy attempts at his songs. But he did all the music and was received very well, rather better than my Ariel, which Robert Helpman, being the director, made me dance around the place almost entirely naked, except for a sunburst and a G-string. The result was I didn't come out as well as Malcolm Arnold came out. And the Catholic Herald wrote, Mr. Hardy, for some reason best known to himself, was painted the colour of an auk's egg and postured throughout like a stone hat stand in a Second Empire Turkish bath. Thank you very much.